Hi, welcome back to the Dental Garden podcast. And we're recording this on Wallamadagal country. And today I'm here with Daleen Kupsch from Prime Practice. Okay, so have you ever felt like you're walking a tightrope between being respected and being liked? Or wondered how to lead a team without losing your emotional footing or your financial clarity? Today, I'm joined by Daleen from Prime Practice, a powerhouse in leadership and coaching for dental professionals. We're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build a practice culture that's not just functional, but deeply human and financially sound.
Right.
So our first segment, we will be talking about emotional safety in leadership. But before that, Daleen, can you tell me a little bit about your role at Prime Practice and what drew you into leadership and coaching in dentistry?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me, Frances. I know we've come together a few times over the course of our profession and really appreciate you inviting me to chat to your audience today. So for those of you that know or don't know, Prime Practice has been around for over 30 years. It was established by Dr. Philip Palmer for dentists, because what we know about dentistry is that there's a lot of, we're juggling a lot of balls, and what dentists do best is obviously practice clinical dentistry. And where the gap usually is around their level of leadership and also understanding what it takes to be a successful business. So Prime Practice was formed. For myself personally, I started out as a DA many, many moons ago and continued to work my way in different roles within the dental practice, and went to university for training and development. So of course I wanted to continue that within the profession of dentistry. I've been working with Prime as a coach and trainer for 6 years now, and previous
That's so
to that,
cool how you wanted to stay in dentistry after going to uni.
So I knew that I always wanted to do something in dental, and finally kind of figured it out. And before coming to Prime, I was a coach and trainer in the United States, and I worked with dentists there and in Canada. And when I decided to move back to Sydney, one of my clients there said, you should actually go work for Prime Practice. They do exactly what you do in Sydney. And as they say, the rest is history. So here I am.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have you here. So I've had a few moments where I felt emotionally depleted, but still had to show up with a smile. And why do you think leadership in dentistry demands just more than just systems and spreadsheets?
Well, at the end of the day, Frances, we're dealing with human beings. And when you look at the profession of dentistry as well, there's already so much that we're up against. And so, you have to take a different approach. And quite honestly, we lost a lot of people within our profession during COVID, where, people left to go to different industries, which gave a bit more flexibility and ability to work from home. So I think more than ever, your leadership skills and your ability to be able to retain team. And, like, as I said, things have shifted in the sense that people do not stay long-term in any business. You've really got to be continuing to evolve and continuing to look at what are you providing for your team? What are you giving them from a training and development perspective, where they want to continue to be there for you? It's a bit, it's a reciprocal approach, really. Yeah.
I find that like the more the team are able to get involved in training, and then they're able to take on more responsibilities, the more they become engaged with the job, and they're actually, it becomes like not just a job anymore. And
absolutely. I think, when I look at what your biggest role as a leader in the dental profession is to inspire and influence your team. Look at how, particularly your dental assistants, look at how you can empower them to take on things newly. And as you mentioned, that level of ownership and that level of responsibility definitely does make a difference in terms of that longevity of team members staying within your practice.
All right. Let's start with the emotional side of leadership. How do you coach practice owners through emotionally charged team dynamics without compromising their authority or compassion?
Oh, what a great question, Frances. I would start any conversation with curiosity. I always say no one sets out to do a bad job. No one's going to turn up at your practice and go, I'm going to be really crap at my job today. It's your job as a leader to be very clear in your expectations. And it's also your job as a leader to support your team in getting there. So I would be asking a lot of questions in terms of, their expectations first and foremost of their role and how you can support them. So curiosity is your best friend, and seek to understand, not from an interrogation point of view, but really like a curiosity with generosity approach.
So asking them what they think about their role.
And also I think when you're developing team members, if you're not doing development reviews at least minimally once a year, that's an opportunity as well. And really getting to understand what motivates your team member. Everybody comes to work for a different level of motivation. It could be, to give back, to the community, or they're working to provide a means to send their kids to university, or to, put their kids through private school. But finding out what motivates and what inspires your team members is really important too.
Yeah, I find that like sometimes you get a different level of engagement if they're here because they want to learn about dentistry, opposed to if they're here because they need to get paid.
But also finding out what their goals are, right? You asking them, Francis, if a year from now you were telling me you had the best year ever in your job, what do you think would needed to have happened for that to have turned out? So you get a really understanding of what goals they want to create for themselves. And then, of course, we have to set them up for success, right? So sometimes we have these conversations and then we don't follow up, and 3 months later we're like, how's that going? Oh, my goodness, I forgot about that. So setting them up for success and having clear guidelines around that.
Okay. And what sort of language do you find the most effective when setting boundaries with team members who overstep or underperform?
Once again, I think it's, setting those clear expectations, letting people know what good looks like. And I always say, if people will show you, who they are by, them stepping in, and you'll always have people that will either step into that or you won't. I think also don't be afraid to have accountability, right? If you're not holding people accountable, you're pretty much saying to them, I don't care enough about you to have that difficult conversation, to elevate them and for them to understand what good looks like. And at the end of the day, like with anything, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if team members are not willing to get out of it what they put into it, you've got to kind of really look at maybe your onboarding process and your recruitment process of like, are you hiring the right people for your brand and for your culture?
Okay, I found the hardest part isn't always knowing what to say, but it's saying it without sounding defensive. What anchor phrases do you recommend for leaders who want to assert their boundaries with warmth?
Great question. Once again, I would come from curiosity. And when we talk about anchoring, I would always anchor in your why. So what, Simon Sinek is a great example, if you've read any of his books or his leadership, is like, your team members may not know why we're doing that, and
that's such a good point. Like, I find that people remember so much better. Even my kids at home, like if you tell them not to do something, they don't listen. But if you explain to them the reason why it is that way, that you don't do that, then they can remember it a lot better, because they know that what the consequences are going to be, like not consequence like they're going to get in trouble, but like what that's going to cause to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So understanding the why, understanding the impact, and if something is not heading in the right direction, I would be getting very curious and say, tell me more about what happened with X. Like, obviously that's not the outcome we want to. Tell me more. And, more often than not, people were trained that way, or they didn't know what they didn't know. So it's an opportunity.
So like finding out like why they also did it as well.
Yeah. So rather than going to, the point of like bad and wrong, which is what we usually step into because we're busy and we're in a high pressured environment, it's just getting really curious and say, hey, it was interesting to me that you did X. Tell me more about why you did X, and kind of get curious and understand around that.
Yeah.
And also then I think the next step is
then we can learn as well, because maybe they actually did have a good reason that we didn't think of.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, maybe they have their own why, or they have their own reason. It's an opportunity to get clear on your expectations once again. And then more importantly, we've got to set them up with the tools, right? How can we support this team member in getting to where we need them to get to? What are the resources? What's the training that we need? How are we supporting them from a leadership perspective for them to get there? You know, I always say what's great about your business is because of you, and what's not great about your business is because of you. The buck stops with you as a leader.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to be moving on